I like while the energy is still there, we gotta
Yes.
we gotta just start this whole bit again because
Yes.
that's actually really good. So anyway, music.
Music. Hello,
Yeah,
everybody. I'm JPL, and today I'm joined with
Christopher
and we're podcast name in brackets.
in brackets.
Hello, Christopher. How are you doing?
I'm tired. Had a little sleep tonight. Haven't listened or watched anything. I bought another record.
So, you'll never guess what?
Guess what? What?
I went to school. And I
What?
watched 3 movies every single day this week because I'm John and you're not.
Oh, sorry, I was confused. Yeah, I work at Sights and Sounds. Long hours. Don't have any time for anything myself.
Oh, that's
I
a
just
shame.
listened to this mixtape. All I have is words. Anyway, I have 90 albums on vinyl.
Okay, so yeah, we were just talking about that.
Just transition to the normal life. I'm actually John. You're Christopher.
And I'm actually Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about music right before we started recording.
Yeah. No.
So John visited me back in May?
May and June.
Was it into June?
I think so.
No,
maybe
the boxing album released late May.
It was May. It was the first week of May. First week of May.
Was it first week of May? Okay, so the thing is, fun story time for people. So, my friends in Boston announced an album that released late May, and with that, they announced vinyl to come with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm somewhat interested in vinyl. I probably pre-ordered around the time you came. I can't remember specifically, but it wasn't necessarily hyper like I'm gonna get into vinyl. That wasn't the first thought.
No.
But while you were here, and around the time the boxing Kickstarter happened, which we talked about the boxing album a few episodes ago. Anyways, a coworker was like, I'm selling a vinyl record player. And I'm like, I would talk to him, I'm like, this is probably a bad idea. Remember that?
Yes, I believe so.
But I went ahead and bought it.
Yeah.
It was a sucky little player, but I upgraded.
You upgraded.
I upgraded. Anyways, so I legitimately did not have any vinyl records at my place when John visited.
This is back in May. Right now it's like
May.
middle of September.
Middle of September. I have about 60 to 70
like 3-4 months. Just
yeah.
You have 60 to 70 records now.
Yes, and I've purchased over 90. There's a handful that I've either pre-ordered or are currently coming in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, and all this conversation came about because you showed me, I believe, one of your newest records or something.
Yeah, I got it while I was in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell the story about that real quickly. So I was leaving the airport at Atlanta, but I was missing one of the ears for my earbuds, and I went to Brickstone. I had heard about Brickstone because I have a catalog of cool products that they have or something.
Yeah.
I never visited one of the outlets, so I did. And the lady there was so cool and so nice. I was just talking to her for 30 minutes. And she had a section where she had some vinyl records that she handpicked it herself, and one of those was the Daft Punk album you showed me. And ma'am, I love you so much. I'm gonna buy this so I can remember the time we had together. This was incredible. And she just had so much joy, and it was just a really good time. And yeah, so I got it from her, and I wouldn't have got it if it wasn't for you. First off, right? Mm-hmm. I had it'd been on my wish list. I'm like, okay, one of these days I want to buy this, but I could It's a little pricey. I think most
Yeah.
copies run for about like $40.
For those of you
But what?
wondering, it's the Random Access Memory album. It was the
Yes.
first music that I sent to Christopher to do this monthly, quote unquote, uh, weekly to monthly passing of music.
It's on like I really like I enjoyed it for what it was. It's like
Mhm.
one of those albums that you can listen to, you're like, that's a good album. And so even though I've only listened to it in full for our podcast, so I
Yeah.
haven't fully gone back to it, I'm like, this is an album I would like to have on vinyl. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had looked around and most copies were probably selling between like $35 to $40.
Mm.
Uh or a little more. So it was a little bit out of my price range for something I wasn't hyper familiar with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but because of the experience I had with her, I'm like, I want to buy this. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's one cool thing about vinyl is that sometimes there's like little memories that can be attached to like each album. And so first I bought it because you introduced me to the album, and I bought it because of the good experience. Um, so yeah, now I own that album on vinyl, and that's really, 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 really cool. So
Yeah. I'd listened to that album like maybe 3, 4 times just on the road drive to and from Branson.
oh wow.
Yeah. Just because like I just like the mood that I got when just listening to it on the road.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Like
oh,
like
ding,
I,
ding,
I
ding,
kind of
ding,
mentioned like there are
ding.
times where I need a little pick me up before work, and I put it
Mhm.
on just to hear the first song. Like it's a good fun time.
Granted, just thinking through the lyrics, like some of the lyrics aren't the best advice in the world, but still catchy songs.
Like sometimes there's just like entertainment that's just entertainment, and
Just entertainment.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so that is one of the 90 albums I have purchased in the past 4 months. And let's hope I curb
It's
my
just
spending.
that you better, because 90 is excessive.
It is. I now mind you, there's some albums I've purchased for less than $10. So there's a
Right.
few.
Yeah.
There's actually one I got for free.
Understanding
Um,
like records, a lot of them can be cheap. Makes
yeah,
sense.
but most of the albums I've purchased have been on the current price end range. I would say the current
Uh,
average to buy an album is $30. A couple of years ago, we would have said 25 or 20. Now it's
uh,
hitting 30.
man, what's wrong
Um,
with you? Man? Like, I won't even buy DVDs. They're like even $10, $15.
yo, you know what? I'm about to do this today. You know what I'm about to do?
The extra stuff?
No,
Okay.
I'm about to buy Morbius in 4K.
You don't have a 4K player.
Exactly.
It's on Netflix.
I don't
Just
have Netflix.
just get Netflix. It's so much
No,
cheaper.
no, we're gonna own Morbius in 4K.
My man, you need to buy a 4K player then.
No, I'm not that. Well, the one thing is my projector is a 1080p, so even if I have a 4K player, it wouldn't even work. So
You could try.
yeah, good try.
You could try so hard. It won't look
Um,
great.
no, so the thing is, I was at because
Hmm.
at Walmart they have the Morbius 4K thing, but the Walmart exclusive is that it comes with a pin, the M
Oh my
pin.
gosh. You really doing it just for the stupid pin?
Yes,
Does it at least
but
come with a DVD and digital copy
I don't know. I don't
or
really
Blu-ray?
care. I don't care
You
really.
should. You
I don't
really
even think
should.
I can play a Blu-ray if I'm being honest.
You can't, but
I can,
you
like in
cannot.
a normal DVD, I can't.
You
Okay, yeah.
cannot.
So I have one Blu-ray, but it also comes with a DVD. So yeah, no, I don't think I could literally play it. But I'm like, let me look on eBay.
Oh my gosh.
There's cheaper copies. So like at Walmart,
Right.
it's like $35. On eBay, I can get it under 20. So I'm like, I can do that. So
madman.
I am a madman,
You
but
madman.
here's the thing, John.
Yeah.
It's Morbin time, and sometimes you just have to do it for the Morb.
What has happened to you? What have you become? You have let this monster taken over you.
So it also, if you could send some bats, that'd be super. Oh, I'm kidding.
What? Are you sure about that? That's
I
that's
definitely
a
don't
fast
need
track
bats.
to getting rabies, son.
No, it won't get me rabies. They'll keep me alive.
Wooden.
Yeah,
I'm
the
guessing.
Morbius way. It'll keep me alive the Morbius way.
They're the metal ones. I don't like them though. But your style, I'll get you the plastic ones.
But yeah, so what was the last? Did you say you actually bought Snyder Cut on Blu-ray though, or something?
Yes, I bought Snyder Cut for Blu-ray.
So is like that the last thing you purchased?
Is that the last? No.
No,
Is it? It's
I'm
not.
curious. No. Okay, what are some things you've purchased recently? Now I'm curious.
See, that would require me to either think really hard
Okay.
or just leave you sitting here while I go and check. I can tell you the last DVD I got, but I didn't buy this.
Okay.
It was given to me as a gift.
Okay.
And that would be Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus.
Okay.
For
Nice.
the podcast that we're doing.
Nice.
What did I buy?
If you can't remember, that's okay. But it doesn't have to be like the last thing, but something's recently.
Recently, the recent in memory would be like the Hulk TV show.
Okay. Was that like $60 or something?
50.
50.
50, 40, depending on where you got it.
Mhm.
Of course, like I am still looking to buy the Atlantis Aquaman TV show, the one that HBO Max no longer has.
Mhm.
I could do that. I mean, it's $10. I just haven't done it, but I had to do it online. So kind of just waiting to sell my stuff and then get more stuff.
That makes sense.
You know how that goes. But no, like in terms of like what I bought, like it's been a hot minute since I've gotten actually bought anything.
I guess for me with like vinyl, because I just got into it, like I'm like catching up. You know what I mean?
Sure. Because like when I was a teenager, I was buying DVDs, a ton of DVDs, because I could, and that's where I got most of my DVDs.
Do you regret?
Like it was during the summers. It was during the summers, like I get my DVDs. I do not regret buying any of these DVDs, mind you. The only time I ever do regrets is like I buy a bunch, then after I buy them, they come out with this like
A cooler
bundle.
version.
No, the bundle where you can get all of them for so much cheaper than what I got them separately for. That sucks. But hey, what you gonna do? Or like I had bought a couple TV shows and then they came out with the Blu-ray remastered versions. I was like, man, I'm a sucker. Why do I do this to myself? But, you know. Yeah. I don't remember what I bought.
Gotcha. No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know, like what I'd have that would interest you besides Daft Punk. You know what I mean?
Oh. Okay. Uh, This would have been about a year ago. I bought a couple animated films.
Uh-huh.
It was like DC films. One was like a Batman Soul of the Dragon, which is like a 70s spies karate film. And then a Justice League World War II film animated. Those were like at good prices, like $10-15. Uh, yeah, I think that's the last stuff that I bought.
What's the most expensive? Let's do this. DVD, Blu-ray, 4K.
All right. Blu-ray most expensive, and includes DVD, I think, is I put in my Christmas list. Um, the Lord of the Rings extended bundle, which came with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit Blu-ray plus DVD and all its extras, and that was about $100.
That sounds reasonable. I'm not gonna lie.
It is very reasonable, but $100 is still $100.
Yeah.
Um, Besides that, like I don't ever want to go over $50 for a large show.
Mhm.
Like even then, $50, I could maybe go down to 30 or 25. Like those are good ranges. But yeah, that's the most expensive that I can recall in the past few years. Because like generally, I don't buy anything past 30. 20 is like the general amount that I go for.
Mhm.
But I like to go for 10 if I can. 5 is like really special.
I feel like definitely when you see something for like so cheap and you're like you have interest in it. Like I recently just bought a few Keith Green albums on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it was like a bundle and I got for like a total of $10 including shipping off of eBay. And like I grew up listening to some Keith Green. I don't know any of his specific albums, but I'm like I am doing that. You know what I mean?
I would buy the Venom and Morbius film for $5.
But it doesn't come with the special limited edition pin.
But no, but if they ever came out with a bundle of those three for like
Mhm.
$10, I'd probably buy that too.
Yeah. For the meme or
No, because I don't have
no?
those films. And
Mm.
it's $10 for 3 films. I
Mhm.
like buying bundles. If they come with several films in it, it's like, oh, good.
I guess for me, like my issue with bundles is that sometimes there are limited bonus features, or like the packaging doesn't feel like it is its own. You know what I mean?
Right, but I'm not one to just go and watch bonus features.
Gotcha.
Um, Maybe some deleted scenes, but
Hmm.
generally I don't.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. I guess I've always kind of tried to steer away from bundles. I just like that. Like
I mean, they're cheaper to get them in
they are
bundles,
cheaper. Yeah.
and it
Like
really depends on
if
like
it
what
has cool
bundles.
packaging,
Yeah, it also
then
depends
it
on
would
what
be
bundles you're
attractive.
getting.
True. I guess just most of the bundles just look boring to me, you know. But
Most of them do,
it,
but like, um, but when I moved to the States for the first time, for furlough in 2010, I bought a bundle of like 4 Batman movies and then 4 Superman films.
mhm,
That came in one, and those were like the old films,
mhm,
and I enjoyed that.
mhm. I mean, I guess I bought the Batman trilogy, but like that, like had like a, like I haven't opened up the packaging, but like the outside like looked cool, you know what I mean? And that was like, oh, this isn't just like three photos separated by red lines, you know what I mean? This
Mm-hmm.
felt special, and like those are the bundles I like to see or collect if I were
And
to buy bundles.
yeah, I used to keep the cases. No, Now I'm a pretty just more lenient to just throw them away because they take up space so quickly.
I get that. For me, I've always loved packaging.
I love packaging too, but like there's a point where it becomes so impractical that I just have to put them in my bundle. Now, like if I have a special film that I like, then I'll keep the packaging for it. But most of them I throw out. Unless it's like a TV show that came in this one thing, then I keep it in the case.
Is there packaging that you threw out that you regret throwing out?
Um, yeah, yes and no. I would say it would be for my DVDs, my original DVDs for the Star Wars films, because those are
Mm-hmm.
classic packaging
Mm,
designs that aren't you don't really see. But
right.
I can't really think
Well, you
of.
mentioned you might have had like a something special for Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, I have that special packaging. I still have it.
Wait, you still do?
Didn't I show it to you?
No.
Oh, then either I still have it or I threw it out.
Wow, those are two very stark contrasts,
See,
John.
that's a very special packaging that I might have kept it, but
Uh-huh.
like it would be buried in a tub somewhere.
Okay, so I looked at Iron Man on eBay. Was it like a case that kind of like had like the suit, like some like something like special pressed up a suit for like the front or something?
So what it
Was it?
was, like I told you this. What it was that, the cover, the removable sleeve was
Uh,
the Iron Man suit. But there was a hole where the arc reactor is, and like you pull the sleeve out, and there's Tony Stark, but he still has an
okay,
arc reactor.
okay, that might be what I've seen. I want to buy that off eBay as
I
well.
had said that if I'd find it, I'd just send it to you.
Oh, thank
I'd forgotten about that actually. So,
you. There are a couple DVDs like I have just like purchased. Like I had Infinity War and Inception. Inception I got for like $4. Infinity War it was like 10. That I just like purchased because I'm like these are movies I do like, but also like I've not opened the packaging. It's just like movies I just kind of like want to own to own. You know what I mean?
I'm not that crazy. Like I have to open the packaging.
Okay, typically I am that way too, but like frick you, John. Now I want to open them
Because like
so bad.
I get them to watch them, not to
It's
just
true.
let them
I
sit there
okay,
and look
so
pretty.
sometimes like I have the mentality of a collector, but the thing is,
No, I get that.
at this current state of things, they're not going to sell,
They're
and
not.
they're not, and if they're going to sell, they're not going to sell for much. So really, I should have no qualms about opening them, but I want to. I will say the Batman one though. I for some dumb reason I decided to shake it and I heard something broken, so I do want to swap it out. So
That's just the case with most DVDs nowadays.
yeah, but
Yeah, almost
I
every
I
DVD case you'll find has something broken with it.
yeah. If I can get a perfect copy, I would like to, but I
Mm.
just haven't. It's so actually here's the thing with the Batman thing is that they had at Walmart they like try to incentivize people to buy DVDs. If you've noticed, like they'll add like special O cards,
What? I haven't
like
been to Walmart in a
sleeves.
while.
Oh, okay. So they look at this.
Oh, right. Well, I've seen like the glow in the dark
Like,
ones.
yeah.
I've seen
This
those,
isn't one of the glow in dark ones, but like this is just cool.
and
You know what I
I've
mean?
seen special sleeves. Yes. Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking
So
about? Okay.
yeah, yeah. The official name is O card. I don't know why. Well, I guess it looks like an O, but it's a little weird. It's very specific of a name. Anyways, but when I shake it, I hear something broken. I know I could just like take off the sleeve and probably just get exchanged, but also they haven't carried this at Walmart recently, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to. So I'm hesitant to open this one specifically up. But like Infinity War or Inception, I should have no qualms about opening.
I've not bought any Marvel films past Infinity War.
Oh, you don't even have Endgame. Wow.
I don't. I
Dang.
I don't know.
I feel like if I were you, I would at least get Endgame.
See, I really should, but why I've not? I don't. I guess it just stops.
And then maybe in 5 years get No Way Home.
Uh, like No Way Home, I'm actually more inclined to get like the extra stuff, the more fun
Right.
version, while you still can.
Well,
Otherwise,
once it's available, that's true.
I
I
mean, because
guess
otherwise
expected.
it'll be just another road cut where you have to search on eBay.
Hmm. Which is a sad thing.
That's all right. This is what it
What's
is.
you'd like these things to be more accessible sometimes, you know what I mean?
Oh no, I get you. But no, I guess that was mainly around that time where I stopped getting DVDs in
Hmm.
general. It's because like I noticed that like I have so many DVDs, but I don't really use them
Right.
as much as I used to. Because like I would keep buying them because I'd constantly use them because I didn't have any streaming services available. So I just watch.
Or
Um,
also like when you grew up, streaming service were just coming in.
they were, they were. So and plus like when we used to travel, I'd have a portable DVD player that I'd watch on travel. I don't
Hmm.
really do that anymore because I just listen to music while I travel. But yeah, I have a bunch of DVDs that every once in a while, if I want to watch a film and I'm like, it's on the service, but I own it, so I might as well
Hmm.
take it out. And sometimes I'll watch it that way, but
I feel like I'm that way with like the vinyl right now because I mean Spotify has everything essentially, but I'm just like sometimes like there's just something that feels tangible about just putting on the vinyl and just like listening to that. You know what I mean?
right.
Something like feels a little extra special about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not like that with music at all because I'm not a music
Hmm.
guy. Like,
Hmm.
unless it's like an album I really love,
Yeah.
I'm likely not gonna get CDs.
Do you actually own any CDs?
I do. I mean, I have CDs from when I was a little kid that we just
Right.
still have living over. Like under my
Hmm.
bed, there is just a tub that we've never unpacked since we've moved here, full of just CDs, and they're like Christian album stuff. I don't listen to
Hmm.
them. Like I
Hmm.
don't know if I ever listened to them, but we have so many CDs. Oh my gosh, it's stupid.
I
It's
guess there's a little bit of difference of do you own slash does your family own? So like more like what you own is what I'm more curious. You know what I mean?
See, in terms of CDs that I'll proudly own and proudly present, I own one that's in my desk as we speak, existing somewhere. And the yeah, it's the soundtrack to the My Little Pony movie.
Okay, question. Is there an artist named CL on that?
Uh, well, I'd have to look.
It's right
Yes,
on the back, right? Yes.
yeah, there is.
She's a K she's a K-pop artist.
Okay,
Happy me.
I mean, I only listened to like the first half of this album because the second half has nothing to do with the movie itself.
That's fair.
It's just a bunch of songs that they acquired to
Hmm.
play on this thing. So yeah, no, that's the only CD that I in recent years have purchased specifically. As a
Yeah.
kid, as a kid, I had gotten a John Williams Greatest Hit CD. I have
Hmm.
CDs for the original trilogy of Star Wars films.
That's cool.
And the Beach Boys Greatest Hits.
Hmm.
I had an Elvis CD. I didn't really listen to that one, but I had it. That was mainly that. Yeah, that's mainly it. Jackie Evanko, I think maybe one of her Christmas albums.
Mm-hmm.
You know her?
Yeah, I've heard of her. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like back. That was her first album actually that I got.
We might have owned that at one point.
Back when she was just like
Little
13
girl.
years old.
I haven't seen pictures of her recently. How old is she now? Like, is she like 23 now?
She's our age.
That is crazy to think about.
She's our age. Like the last thing I've seen of her, she was like talking about how she had anorexia and like how she hated getting compliments about how she looks because she made her feel so insecure. That's the last that I heard. But besides that, right here she's fine.
I feel like recently in the past year or two, there's been more conversations about like child stars,
Mm-hmm.
and especially there's that one Nickelodeon star who released the book.
Oh yeah, Jeanette McCurdy.
Yeah, there's like it's been a really prevalent conversation recently. I found very interesting. And
yeah,
I mean, even we've talked about the one Star Wars kid who played Anakin, who went crazy. It's just like it's really, I don't know, like because I think why I'm thinking about this is because of K-pop, because some of these agencies are debuting minors. Like one really recent popular group is called New Jeans, and all the members are under 18, so they're probably like 15, 16, which is crazy to me. It's like these are literal teens, essentially like in high school. And I'm just like, that's and so like there's one of their songs that came under fire for over sexualization, which was, the label said wasn't intended to be so. It was meant to be a pun of something, but it obviously didn't come across that way in the first place partially because of translation, but also just straight up of what it was. But it's like, you know, how like some minors can be sexualized. That is also like the case we see with like some child stars of like some uncomfortable scenes that they might have had to film. But it's just like, I don't know, like what's the morality of it almost? You know what I mean? Because like you sometimes need like for movies like a child to portray a child. You know what I mean? Is that wrong? Like, like how should we handle fame as it relates to these kids? It's a hard subject, but there's no like, it's such a gray area.
It is such a gray area. Like you could probably just imagine like years from now, like how the Stranger Things kids will end up. I think like the only positives I can see from a group of kids are from Harry Potter. Like so far, none of them have turned out messed up. They're
That's
all
good.
fine and just have good careers for them.
That's good to hear.
It's good to hear. Like they're, because most times you just hear about like, oh, these kids now, yeah, they're all messed up. Shia LaBeouf being now like he's just like, oh, this crazy guy. Before he was like a child actor from this show that was super popular.
I've heard the name. I don't know who he is.
You're gonna hear some more later on.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, even Miley Cyrus, that's probably the biggest one. She ended up after it's just Disney stars, and probably worse for Nickelodeon stars because you know you had the person who was running those shows just not being the best person they can be.
That's sad.
And like had their own fetishes that weren't great for great shows. And it's sad to hear like that these characters and people that like you just loved watching as a kid now being like, oh yeah, it was hell working on those things. It's like, oh, you almost can't get the same feeling from watching those shows again, like knowing the
Right.
context now. It's like, ooh, okay.
No, there's one song I remember growing up to in South Korea to find out a few years ago when the members committed suicide. And it's just wild to me. So sad.
Yeah. So anyway, last week I had sent you. I talked about the r/place like Pixel War. They had the video for the pony
You sent
stuff.
me a video that I didn't watch because you said it was long.
I said it was an hour long. But anyway, after like watching that, I had been feeling very nostalgic towards just old pony content and stuff. So the past week I had just been watching some old videos and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I remember when this was still a big old deal. And so yeah, I am kind of developing a new series on YouTube.
Okay.
I recorded the first thing last night. I'll be editing for the rest of the week. Just going through like the nostalgia of different projects and such, and seeing how that goes. Part of it is because I had watched all that stuff before I started doing reaction videos, and so I had felt like I couldn't get the big stuff. But so I'm just gonna take a look at those, just talk about how I feel about them. What's really sad, especially for the brony reaction community, is like it's practically dead. There's nobody around like doing any stuff. Like all the great names either retired or just stopped doing stuff or moved on. Like there's a couple of new people trying, but like we'll see how they go. They're not as prominent.
It's not what it was.
It's not what it was. Like before, like a new episode would come out. I'd go film a reaction while my video was rendering. I'd go to YouTube and watch 5 different reaction videos of the same episode within hours. Now it's like I watched the r/place video. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch a reaction video. Nothing. There's nothing out there because there's no one there to even watch it. So here I am, just final year of college, gonna go down nostalgia trip before I get off into the real world. There we go. Speaking of the real world, we have She-Hulk.
That's a transition.
That's a transition. She-Hulk. We had another episode this week. Nothing happened really.
There's an element where, again, like this is more or less what I wanted.
Sure.
It's just not entertaining.
It's not as entertaining as it could be. It's not developed enough as a lawyer show to just also be that engaging. Something that we learned is like the writers don't really know anything about lawyer stuff.
Yeah, that, like I don't know much, but also watching it, I'm like, this doesn't feel realistic.
Because like you can tell like they're barely doing lawyer stuff in the show anyway. And so
it really I feel like this sounds ironic, and I don't mean it to sound like I'm really like this. I'm not a She-Hulk, and it really just feels like this is the most fake the MCU has been. Like even with there's an article that New Line Cinema gave up the rights of Iron Man because they said, "Oh, that doesn't make sense. He can't fly because it'd be too heavy." That's literally why they gave up the rights for Iron Man, which is wild to me. But like within the context of the movie, yes, you could argue and say it doesn't make sense for A, B, C, D. But for the context of the movie, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
I read a funny comment on the post about that article being like, wait till those people find out about airplanes.
And so again, it's a little unfair that we're to some degree comparing the comic book world to the real world, but at the same time, there's a sense with She-Hulk of where it feels like it is its own fantasy, whether of part the real world or of part of the MCU, even its little fan nods to the MCU, feel like it's a fan show.
Right. Yeah.
Like even with the little Avengers thing, I'm just like, this feels like a YouTube skit.
Mm-hmm. But they put money into it.
They put money into it.
And they force people to animate so far ahead. To the point where they can't go home because they have to keep doing this.
Apparently.
Yeah. But the most exciting thing that happened was, of course, the tease at the end with Daredevil's helmet, the new yellow costume. Yeah, if you just that's the most reaction people have. It's like the entire episode is just like, yeah, okay. The helmet shows up. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is top tier episode for 2 seconds of this thing. It's like, so I watched the last 2 episodes with my mom, of course. Like she had no reaction whatsoever the entire time those 2 episodes until the Daredevil head showed up. I was like, oh, is that next week? That's the only time where she was actually interested in the show. Like
you know what?
Funny.
I find it ironic because we were talking about like how the first episode is the 8th episode, and how episode 5 has the episode 4 moment of the Daredevil helmet.
Was this episode 5?
This past episode was episode 5, I believe.
Yeah, and I sent you that, and I sent you an emoji of whatever that face was.
I completely knew what you were talking about. That was the funny thing.
It was the smirk. Yeah. So you knew what I was talking about when
I immediately knew what you were talking about because I think I had finished the episode like 30 minutes prior, and I saw that. I'm like, yes, I know what he's talking about.
And I'm like, am I right? Episode 6.
You know what would be a little sad if episode 6 ends with the physical tease of Daredevil and it ends up to be episode 7.
That might be the case, though.
That might be the case
because it's like
I could like, so
what's
see
gonna
that
happen next episode that she has to go to New York, or he's coming to LA. I don't know, but like that's the tease.
There's
and it might not even be next episode at all. It could just be like, hey, look at this.
Again, we're only essentially halfway done with the show, but I don't know. There's an element where it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be, but there's also an element where it's definitely not as good as it could have been. And
for sure.
I mean, like, I wasn't expecting top tier MCU content, but I was expecting it to be better.
Like if they put more thought into the law, if they brought in some lawyers to just help with the script.
Even the characters, they just don't feel realistic. It feels I feel like a lot. Part of the reason why I chose the MCU over Star Wars back in 2021, it was 21. Sorry, my bad. Was I felt like there was a stronger sense of realism to the MCU in comparison to Star Wars, or at least more grounded in real life. And so and then another attraction with Marvel were characters that I was able to connect with, and then to kind of Phase 4 in general has been very hit or miss with characters. I was about to say hasn't done well, but I'm wrong. We've not that I've connected with Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi was a pretty solid movie. Yelena and Kate Bishop are fun additions. But there's also been characters where you kind of could care less about. She-Hulk is full of them. The Moon Knight thing is also kind of a thing. I can't remember the others that exist off the top of my head.
It's Marvel.
The thing is, I like the actress a lot, though. Like,
the actress is fine.
At least, like, she gives a performance that I'm engaged with. Like, I like that's one reason why I'm low-key excited about the Marvels. Is just for more Miss Marvel. Like
Sure.
I really like the actress a lot. So at least I can get on board with the acting. So, but at the same time, like there isn't that much going for the character as it is being written. But I love her as an actress, or just as a personality, more or less, because I feel like she's just kind of playing herself. Yeah.
Another thing that me and me mom watched is that we watched Thor again. I watched Thor again with mom.
Okay. How was it the second time around?
I think it's messier the second time around.
I feel like there's an element where I was slightly able to appreciate it more, but also it got worse at the same time.
Yeah, like they also released like a deleted scene for Thor. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't watch any of them. I saw a few that were on the internet though, but I didn't watch any of them.
There was like one. There was this one main one that I saw. It was on YouTube, and it had like Thor and Zeus having a conversation, like a proper conversation. They're not at that palace. They're like somewhere on Earth or something, and he's like teaching Thor how to use Thunderbolt. It's like a really nice and heartwarming thing. And like think about the film, it's like that's nothing in the film. Like,
yeah. So like what's wild to me to think about is the fact that they had the 4-hour cut.
Yeah.
So
if
they had a
I
4-hour concise cut, they had a 4-hour concise cut. How much more random content did they film? You know what I mean? It's wild to think about.
There's one cut editing thing that I noticed that there probably was more filmed, and it's when they go on the black and white location, and Jane finds out that this thing is a trap. So what we see is Thor that Jane they come in. They're both holding onto their weapons. Jane goes off into a different room. She finds out it's a trap, and she runs out with her hammer, saying it's a trap. We cut to her coming back to Thor. Thor has left Stormbreaker a mile away from him. Why, we don't know. But Jane runs up to it. She doesn't have her hammer anymore, even though the last shot she just had it. She throws it away, then she calls her hammer. I'm just wondering what was missing there. It just,
if anything, I would have loved for that scene to be extended.
Like either it's just a bit of bad continuity. Most likely there was some more extended things going on that they just cut.
I feel like it'd be both. I think it would be both.
It's both. But
yeah. There's another
context of like continuity and just the extended 4 hours. It's like that's where you would do it.
Yeah. There was another deleted scene. Again, I didn't watch any of these, but Zeus visits Jane Foster sick in bed. So they must have had a lot of fun with Zeus outside of his context.
I mean, see, they hired like Russell Crowe, like a good actor, and like he's in it very little. So it's probably like he had a lot more screen time because like there were hints or there was more to his character, but it was like overshadowed by it being cut and having to have this forced plot line of we're gods, we're going to be the next villains, whatever.
Okay, you know what? That scene is essentially the Illuminati scene in Multiverse of Madness, where you could kind of cut those scenes and it really wouldn't impact the movie that much. But we got these cool actors, which they're fun scenes for the movie, but they really don't do that much for the movie.
Right.
It's kind of wild to think about.
Like there wasn't much of a reaction from Thor.
I hate how similar Multiverse of Madness and Thor are in those contexts. Both constrained to 2 hours. You know what I mean? Had extended cuts. I don't know the specifics with Multiverse of Madness, but we talked about like cut like plot lines from Multiverse of Madness. You know what I mean? It's just wild to think about like how both those movies, yeah. It's wild to me.
It's really the MCU. Marvel should take a step back and readjust. Um,
And even if they don't step back, at least
Most
slow down.
importantly, especially slow down. Most importantly, if it's not for just doing the story, I think the biggest reason is for their VFX team. Because they are overworked to death to the point where they're changing shots like the week before the film is released because they've not yet finalized the look. And that's why it looks so bad a lot of the times.
Isn't it wild to think that in 2.5 years we have an Avengers movie that isn't even shot yet, much less probably not even written? That's wild to think about how fast these are being tossed together.
What I'm gonna hope is gonna happen, hopefully it's really soon. The VFX artists unionize and go on strike. Like it's gonna shut down so many films, but it's so important that they get things going because they're a growing industry.
Honestly, if anything, these people just shouldn't work overtime, period.
And that's that, and part of it is like there's too much demand, too little time. They're not being told what they want until like last minute. So it's just like there's huge communications issues in general going on. So
that's true.
Having them go on strike will delay the films, of course, but we'll end up probably getting better quality over time.
Yes. And again, specifically with Marvel, we have so much content. And then not to mention it interlacing directly with Star Wars, and those, because they're both owned by Disney, fans essentially interlace. There's enough Disney content being released that we can slow it down. We could have 2 TV shows, 2 movies a year, and they honestly wouldn't skip that much of a beat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's mind-blowing to me. Like Black Widow, like there's some moments where you watch, you're just like, what? But the fact that they finished the cut back in 2020, they didn't touch it for the full year of it sitting on its shelf waiting for release. The fact that they didn't even go back to fix up VFX stuff is also mind-blowing to me. You know what I mean? Like
they could have been touching up the entire time and making it look one of the best.
Exactly. Like you had a full year, because again, if people are wondering what I'm talking about, I read some article where the person said, yeah, we finalized it a year before release. Now again, she said the cut, so who knows, maybe they were working on VFX the whole year, but I doubt it. I significantly doubt it. But from like the fact that it just sat on the shelf for a full year, and there are some, even just a few, I don't know, like even Venom, Carnage, Venom 2, they that with that getting delayed a full year, they were working on the VFX that whole year. Like I read some article that said the effects would have looked a lot more primitive if it was released in mid 2020. They said they were working on it up to at least 3 weeks before its release. So there was some that did, but Black Widow doesn't show it. Like I remember sitting in the theater. The one scene that really caught me off guard was the first time like the little like red puff of smoke appeared, and I stared at that thing. I'm just like, what? It's like I feel like that's something that should be so simple. It's a puff of smoke. That's not like you have like a bunch of layered textured green screens you're trying to take care of. That's a puff of smoke that doesn't look real. That just took me out. Like again, like I'm not one who's very critical of VFX in general because I'm not very good at spotting bad VFX. But that one
Or
I
VFX
noticed,
in
and that
general.
yeah, yeah. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
That one took me out.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like with She-Hulk though, like I feel like there's a different frame rate with the She-Hulk character that just feels odd. I feel like that's the uncanny thing for me.
I
It's the
can't say
frame
anything
rate.
but the She-Hulk VFX. I think
Okay.
it's passable.
It's
Because
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like you can argue everything's passable.
I
But
mean,
like
it's
it's the
it's
frame
like
rate that
on
takes me out.
bar for where I think it needed to be to have the show. Because like I was
Hmm.
telling you, like years in advance, like my main concern of the show is like what's the VFX for the character to go look like? Because she's supposed to mostly be in She-Hulk form.
Hmm.
I'm not disappointed at all about the
Mm.
VFX for her. I think like
That's
they've done
fair.
a good job. Because my
That's fair.
bar is kind of low with like their
Mm.
recent stuff. It's like, yeah, they're doing a good job.
Not that it's a big deal, but in the recent episode, the Tatiana girl referred to She-Hulk as Shrek.
Yes. Oh yes, and she had that ad, the She-Hulk ad. After watching the episode, it's like, oh, okay. I was on YouTube just doing a random thing, and I get an ad for that product line on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
You can actually go and buy. I think you can buy a product with that line.
That's actually
That's clever marketing. That like
that is.
they're doing some good viral marketing with this
They
show.
are.
That like you never notice.
Hmm.
That's happening, which is a shame. That's like really fun and clever.
Yeah.
And
You know what? Actually, one really funny thing I've found about She-Hulk is in episode 5, for the She-Hulk logo intro, they added the probably I think made by Tatiana,
mhm.
um, turned it
By
pink or
Titania.
whatever. By Titania. Right. Sorry, my bad. In episode 2, this kind of took me out. You know, the tagline is what attorney at law, but for a split second they turned it to attorney for hire.
Did you miss that?
No, I noticed that
Okay.
immediately, and that got me. Like that
It's a
was
good.
probably
They're
the
good bits.
funniest thing.
That's a good one. Um, in like during the credits of this last episode, like we got to see Pug and his shoe collection. There's so many Easter eggs where of like different Marvel character theme shoes. Like you have the Thing, you have Cyclops, Deadpool's there, even Ghost Rider. There's like so many Marvel Easter eggs, characters as shoes, and it's like so
That's
the
what I'm saying.
rumors
Like
of these
this,
characters being in the show is probably just the shoes.
that's what I'm saying about this show. It feels more like fan fiction than actually part of the MCU because of these
Mm-hmm.
Easter eggs. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
let's tease these things because we're fans,
Okay.
which is kind of fun, but also frustrating because this is the MCU and people just want to see these as reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, going over this past week, there are
Sorry, what? I have a question. Yes, Daredevil's the big deal, and we're probably not going to get anything
oh
beyond
god.
Daredevil. But would it
Mhm.
be wild if Deadpool appeared? Like that would kind of work, but also not. But it also would. You know what I
It
mean?
would work with the breaking of the fourth wall.
Right.
We just want him to appear, so we know. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
something. We want something. If that's like the major thing that this show will offer us is one, um,
5 second cameo of
like
Deadpool. I'm here for
and
it.
sure with that Deadpool and Daredevil, but also too, I hope that they finally give the Avengers like some benefits, legal
Okay.
benefits.
So Kevin Feige made a comment around the D23 time, and he said there's no functioning Avengers at this time.
Yeah, that's true. But
Which
still,
also made it really odd the fact that in episode 5 they made the big deal of she's one of the Avengers. So is that not knowledge within the MCU?
it could be a thing where the Avengers haven't been doing anything, but they still quote unquote exist publicly. They're just not as unified as they were back in Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
But going over the past week, there are three
Well,
films.
sorry, one thought. I feel like the most unified Avengers were essentially between the first Avengers and Ultron because they went on a little spree before Ultron to do some things.
Yeah.
But like outside of that time, the Avengers were never really a functioning group. You know what I mean? Especially considering the 2-year spat between Tony and Steve that led into Infinity War. Like they were more of a name than an actually functioning group, if you know what I mean.
Right.
It's kind of interesting. Obviously, they have, name popularity due to the events of Endgame, but it is interesting to think about. All right, three movies you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, yes. Past week, 3 movies I watched. First one is a film called Collateral. Film that came out in the early 2000s. I watched it because Professor Corrales from the senior department, I have a class with him, and like he loves this film. He keeps talking about it. He's showing clips in class, and like he's getting the subliminal hit of watch this film if you haven't. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. It was on Netflix, so I did. Pretty good. It's an interesting
Okay.
story. Aspects of it are dated, specifically
Mm-hmm.
just the visuals. But no, the basic idea of taxi driver having to drive around an assassin is interesting. Next, I finally watched Prey,
Yes,
the
I
new Predator
saw.
film.
I saw what on Letterboxd. We finally watched it.
Mm. And I liked it. Like generally, I
Good.
liked it. But I will say it's fun. Does a good job of just giving you a basic plot for Predator.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's a lot of substance here for like rewatchability besides the
Mm.
action, because there's not that many memorable characters right at all. They're all kind
I
of
guess what
bland.
was wild to me because all the reviews are like best Prey movie ever. Even one of my friends who's kind of critical of movies gave it a 4-star review. I'm just like, dang. It was just like, and then you're like the most negative review I've heard of it so far.
Okay.
That's just interesting to me.
I mean, I do really like it, but like there's not a lot of personality between characters. They're bland. They started the plot of being uh, uh predator fodder, but compared to like literally any other predator film, those characters they have personalities. Whether or not they're good, they have personalities.
Mm.
Here, there's not that many personalities. There's not that many character arcs, if any. Um, but there's some cool visuals, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is I finally watched the film Blade Runner for the first time.
Mm.
It's the one that
One of my friends obsesses over that.
everyone, like almost everyone I've heard talk about. It's like, oh, it's the best film in the world. Um, I give it a 3. Yeah, no, like I think like what's some of the best of this film is the atmosphere and just the visuals of like an 80s perspective of the future. And like all that looks great. But like there's no good plot. There's no understanding of the characters. Many things are outdated. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I do. But like I I want it to be more clear than just whatever is happening.
Yeah.
It's so overrated. And of course, like the idea is like, oh, if you watch it multiple times, you'll get it. But it's like I shouldn't have to do that
Yeah, you shouldn't.
to love a film, and I don't love this film.
Like, let me say this about like Lord of the Rings because I'm hearing a lot of people saying the more they watch it, the more enjoy it. Thing is,
Right?
when you watch it the first time, you can at least appreciate how much
Yeah,
effort
yeah,
that
yeah.
is put into it.
Right. And you can like understand the story a little bit more.
Yeah.
Here, like, there's no sense of like why are people doing this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is this happening? How did this happen? Like, what's the point? Versus other films. The same director did Alien. Alien Similar setting, but there's a plot. You're surviving.
Mm.
It's simple. Lord of the Rings. It's simple. Destroy this ring. Here, it's like kind of struggling to find out what they're trying to do. Like they gave us an idea, but then they're doing other things. It's like I don't know what's going on. Whoa, this is weird romance that's kind of rapey. Ooh, I know what's going on here. Um, that's the '80s for you. Romance is a bit violent. Uh, but yeah, no, that's that. I'll probably watch the sequel 2099 because it's also on Netflix soon.
Isn't it 2049?
Mm,
I
yeah,
think they
20.
just announced something related to 2099.
Okay, it's Spider-Man 2099, but no, yeah.
Ah,
I guess 2049. Interesting. That doesn't make much sense. Blade Runner is set in 2019.
really?
Yeah,
Wild.
wild. I'm
Isn't
watching
that
that
weird
film.
thinking about these?
It's like, you were very ambitious. Yeah, no, I remember Back to the Future, the second one being set in 2015. It's like, you thought we were going to be much better at advancing than we actually are.
Which one is more ambitious?
Blade Runner. Blade Runner for
I
sure.
guess, is it because of the atmosphere?
Yes. The atmosphere, the technology versus Back to the Future is just like, here's flying cars
Mm-hmm.
and like other better stuff. Either way, that's that. Go to the main films that I watched. I've not really watched much other stuff. I've continued watching the Fantastic Four show.
Oh, they put the second Fantastic Four movie back on Disney Plus. I've been wanting to watch that because I
Cool.
watched the first one. So, sorry to interrupt you a little. So my thoughts with Fantastic Four, because I'm like, I don't want it to be ruined for me. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't think it will be. So now I want to watch at least the sequel to the first Fantastic Four.
Okay.
I'm mixed about the 2014-15 one. I forget which year.
That's
But
a weird one.
yeah. Now I want to watch the sequel of that just to say I saw both of them essentially. You know what I mean? Not because I loved it.
I'd
just
like
to say
it
I
if you
watched
do
it.
too.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try
Just
to.
to get your first glimpse of Silver Surfer.
Okay.
And
Cool. Then I'll try
Galactus.
to. Oh,
Cool.
wasn't he
Cool.
some cloud thing I heard?
Yeah, stupid
Yeah.
cloud. But no, yeah, Fantastic Four. Again, I don't love the art style. I think what this show has going for it is like it's doing a good job at doing the characters. Like I believe it's the characters done properly, but I don't know. There's just not much. It's more of an episodic show and not much of like characters have an arc throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, that's how it was back then, but we're kind of spoiled with arcs and
Yeah.
or developed seasons of television. It's just strange that like at this period of time they were still doing that type of show. Uh, and then of course Lord of the Rings still the same really.
Okay.
We're
I
halfway
had a
done with
friend at
this
work.
first season.
I had a friend at work who said he's really enjoying like learning about the lore of Lord of the Rings.
Like it is quote unquote enjoyable on a basic level, but there's just you're missing so much needed reasoning.
Reasoning as in
Why do I care? Like, what's the plot here? That. Um, we'll see. Have you seen anything else this
me?
week? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't recall. I definitely didn't rate anything on IMDb recently, so
Or Letterboxd at all.
Or letter. I definitely not touch Letterboxd. I
So,
guess I'm enjoying IMDb more just for me. Letterboxd, I feel like, is almost like a form of social media that I don't necessarily want to perform for. You know what I mean?
and you also have nothing to think about serialized as well.
I definitely haven't touched serialized. Again, like IMDb, it's both of them in the same thing, and I just like.
I really like those two.
No, I completely get that. Like, but I just haven't really touched it. But tonight, I think my my roommate, is inviting some people over. He mentioned Star Wars. I'm gonna assume it's gonna be Rogue One. Who knows? Um, so I probably will be rewatching Rogue One again tonight. So I'll keep you updated next week. So
Cool, because Andor comes out in like a few days.
yes, 3 episode premiere.
Ooh.
Let me know if it's not. Let me know if it's worth watching. Let me know if I can watch it due to Star Wars context.
Of course,
My context.
of your context.
Yes.
You probably will be able to.
I
But
probably will, but
like
who
who
knows?
knows? Like they're known for just hiding stuff and being like, here's this thing you never thought would be happening. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Um but, but yeah, let's get into the emotional mix.
Oh, John. Oh my gosh, it's been an hour. We don't have time to talk about the emotion. I'm kidding. Um,
We have to be done with this, man. We have to be done with it.
we're
Oh,
desperate.
I'm desperate to just move on. I love this mix, yes, but I love other things as
Okay,
well.
why are you deleting the mix?
Because I don't, because it's just taking up space on my
You're
channel. Because that
crazy. It's not like you're doing crap with it.
exactly. So I'm just getting rid of it.
No, that doesn't make sense, John.
See, it's just there. Am I gonna do anything with it after this? Probably not. So there you go. Anyway, we have the emotional mix, like I had mentioned last week. It's basically a mix of music from films and TV shows that represent emotional moments in what's going on in the characters' lives and what's going on in the show. Usually happens during tragic things where they reflect on life and death. Um, or it's just like music that I had an emotional connection to. Basically, it's emotional. And half of these songs are done by Michael Giacchino because he's the emotional man. And just to keep track of what the songs are, again, we have Level Playing Field from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. We have Ballet Breakup from Red vs. Blue. There is No Place Like Home from Lost Season 4. The Ultimate Prize from Violet Evergarden. Stuff We Did from the movie Up. Four Knocks from Doctor Who Series 4. Your Father Would Be Proud by Rogue One. The Emulation Scene by Revenge of the Sith. Blood on the Pavement from Sherlock, Owen's theme from Torchwood, Life and Death from Lost, Letting Go from Super 8, and Paradise Found from War of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, so what's the immolation scene?
Emulation scene is the scene where Anakin is burning in lava.
Okay. And when did Your Father Would Be Proud happen?
Your Father Would Be Proud to be the last moment with Jyn Erso. Like, it's when the Death Star is blowing up.
Okay. I had a
It's the
feeling.
last scene. It's the last scene, really. When he
I really
died.
like the atmosphere of Your Father Would Be Proud. Um, that one's just good. I was listening to it, like, was it that scene or not? I will say, I guess, again, I really enjoyed the mix in general, but I only listened to it twice. So my ear was more gravitating towards the more unique sounding songs.
Okay.
And those two would be Ballet Breakup and The Ultimate Price.
Okay. Do we want to go through the list that's just from the top to the bottom?
Do you want me to do the thing where I listen to a snippet and be like, oh, that's what it sounded like? Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, let's just take a minute doing that.
Well, that'd be more like song by song. I spend like 10 seconds to be like, oh, that's what the song sounds like.
Okay, we can start with the top with this level playing field.
All right, I'm opening up Spotify. Just a
Yes.
hot second.
And for those who are wondering, this plays at the very beginning of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which sets up the tone of the simian flu has spread across the globe, and humanity is dying. There's this huge montage that we see, like the world is evolving, and the world is becoming a planet of apes. And we see the lights dim across the planet until there's only like a small section of civilization left, and we start our film with this somber music.
Holy crap! What a context.
It's a huge piece of context. I know I'm spoiling this for you. This
I
little
mean,
piece
I'm
of it is
probably
for
not
you.
gonna watch it.
Yeah,
That's
it's fine.
crazy.
Yeah, no,
Kind of.
that's a way to open a film.
That is a way to open the film. See,
Mm,
that's the thing. Like sometimes when you get like like again, like all these, I love this mix except for like Owen's theme. But like then did you hear about this crap? I'm just like, what the frick? That it gives the song so much more weight. You know?
mm.
No, I like it's a beautiful haunting,
It is
slow
haunting.
track that, yes, so cool. I guess like the two songs I mentioned, I feel like, or at least one of them. I guess the one thing I guess it doesn't have. Don't take this wrong. It doesn't have that much of an atmosphere.
Hmm.
It's there. It's a really solid one, but I guess I just would have never guessed it would have been so heavy. I feel like there would have been a little more either reverb or low end to it. No, there is a bit of a low end, but I guess maybe like more menacing on that end. Um, Regardless, really solid.
Yeah, really solid. The next song on this list is "Ballet Breakup" from Red versus Blue. This was in season 10, around the 3 season period where the animator Monty came in and just revitalized the show in general. This is a internet show, so it's like it's less professional, but it's still well done. The specific moment, it's called Ballet Breakup. It's essentially these two characters who throughout the show are kind of love interests, but they haven't gotten to the point where they admit anything. So this is where they're going up against each other, and like it's a breakup scene. Um, the music plays while they fight each other, so like all sound of the physical fight just cuts. We just listen to the chimes of like this ballet music box as like this is the last time that these characters see each other in the show, and so it's this sad little moment.
Hmm. I guess I just really like the sound of the piano. Like it sounds so unique.
It is nice.
Yeah, like that's what I really love about the song. That starkness of the piano is so almost refreshing,
Hmm.
but also very haunting and very beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. Um, moving on to here. Moving on, we have there's no place like home from Lost season 4. This plays during the finale of the season, where during the show, like so many.
Um, I actually have some interest in watching Lost.
I see. I'm not gonna spoil
Okay, cool.
specifics, but essentially, is like things have not been going, our way for our characters for a while now. Like they're stranded on an island. What's so great about that?
Right.
But at this point, like there's a glimmer of hope, and like it's a nice hope that we haven't seen in a long time, and it's like this nice piece of music, like letting them know, like, hey, it's okay, you've got hope.
it's not a bad song, but it doesn't feel unique. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
especially
no,
not knowing its context, but even knowing its context, it just doesn't feel that fresh of a track.
right. Like from Lost, it's one of my favorite tracks. It used to be like later on, Life and Death, but like that was the one that's overplayed by everyone that everyone loves. So when I heard "There's No Place Like Home," which is kind of like Life and Death, I was like, I kind of like this more.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hope I do hope you get into Lost someday, 5 years
Yeah,
from now.
I definitely have some interest in the show. I
Mm.
just, as we know, I'm just terrible about watching crap.
I mean,
But also like there's an element where I kind of like that I struggle to watch because I want to be productive to take care of things.
sure, sure.
But it's yeah. Oh, speaking of such, the Disney Plus thing that I'm on, where it's gonna end at the end of this year. Show me sad. So I want to try to finish Snowdrop at the very least.
The Disney Plus thing you're on, like, what is that?
Yeah, the K drama. Oh, the Disney Plus. The I'm not going to talk about specifics on here, but my Disney Plus account.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay. Well, that's
yeah.
interesting. Also,
Sad
Disney Plus
times.
stays like, hey, for like a few weeks only, you can have 1 month at this low cost, and it's like, really, just 1 month, you cheapskates. It's kind of stupid of you. That's all you give us. It's just that.
That's all you
It's
give
it's a
us.
nice looking price, but just you're only allowed to do this for 1 month, really. Wow. But the next song on this list is The Ultimate Price from Violet Evergarden. It's an anime. Um, this happens towards the later half of this show where the main thing that the show had been building up to happens, which is our main character's Violet's emotional crux, or the emotional peak happens, where she finally comes face to face with her past, and finally remembers like the tragedy of what happens, and she has to deal with it. Like, oh, the ultimate sacrifice she made. She lost both her arms for this sacrifice. It's the ultimate price for her freedom to be able to experience emotions and whatnot. It's a beautiful
Hmm.
moment that just this is like one of the latest additions to this mix back when I was still working on it. Uh, and it was like, as soon as I heard it, it's like, oh my gosh, I have chills just
Hmm.
listening to this. This is a beautiful piece of music. And so I added it to this mix. And I just really like this, how it builds up to, with the piano, goes off into the orchestra, gives this giant moment, and then it goes back to the soft piano at the end. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
just it plays you their emotions that way.
I there's an element listening to the song I kind of hate how familiar it sounds because I feel like
It is very familiar sounding, I will admit.
so it's like when I listen to it, I'm like, what is that? I'm trying to think of maybe something Christmas related. I get a Christmas vibe from it.
Have you seen Ratatouille?
I have not. Well,
Okay.
okay. I've seen I'll say the first third back in 2008
Okay.
or something.
Now that I'm trying to like get the notes of like dun 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 dun, I'm thinking
I
of a
think there's a
Ratatouille song.
specific song like like an actual song.
There probably is. Like most music is just a copy, or
It really is. Let's
like
be honest.
you'll find a copy of it somewhere else,
Yeah.
essentially, because like
Um,
so much.
I just love the orchestration of the song.
I do
Like
too.
like it it's really well put together and it's not what you would typically find for like soundtrack material. Sorry,
Mhm.
soundtrack material. Like so it stands out in a unique way. It is very beautiful. Yeah, one of my favorites. I do hate how familiar it sounds. I feel like if there's less of that, I would like it more.
Sure.
It's not to say things can't sound familiar. It's just the fact that because it sounds familiar, it's distracting to me.
Okay. The next stuff is stuff we did from the film Up. This specific song is like a callback to the beginning melody with the prologue, but this takes place when Carl is reading through his scrapbook of family memory, the life that we had, and he's contemplating. It's like, oh, we did have a good life, and now I have to go and make new memories.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Up's a classic. I
It
mean,
is.
I don't really know what to add to this. Like, the soundtrack's good, the song is good, movie's good. I guess not to make this all about the movie. I had seen Up enough times where I don't really want to watch it again
I know.
for a
I get
good
that.
while. Like it was. Now that I watched it when I was young, yes. Did the emotional impact hit when I was young? Not really. Regardless, with repeated viewings of it, I get like no emotional impact from it
Mm.
now, and I really want it to just be put to bed for years so I can appreciate it again.
Yeah, like that's how I feel with most Pixar films in general. Like I've seen them so many times, I can just picture the entire plot of the film, every scene, every moment in my head, to the point where like I don't need to watch it unless I'm watching with someone else. But yeah, that's why I couldn't do the Pixar marathon like you with you
Hmm.
because it's like, oh, I don't want to watch any of this.
That's fair. I just suck at taking time to watch crap.
Yeah, the next song on this list is called Four Knocks. It's from Doctor Who. It's at a moment where a character of the show is gonna have to be leaving the show, and like he has this huge speech of just like emotional contemplation because he knows like I have to leave, I have to die, and make this sacrifice. It's like why I could just do so much more than this. Like why does it have to happen to me? And so this entire song is just an expression of him going through his emotions until finally, by the end, accepting the situation and going on with the sacrifice. You're yawning, by the way, for those who.
I am. I'm sorry. Um. Again, let me just say, in general, on the playlist, like the one song I really just didn't enjoy was Owen's theme.
Mm,
Know that. So, note as I'm saying it's not to say I didn't. This song is the bad song. This song just didn't stand out to me. Like it's fine for like background music. The one thing it does stand out that does not that I've seen anything from Doctor Who, but there's like, oh, it feels unique to Doctor Who when you kind of like, oh, kind of like put that two and two together, right?
yeah.
Especially listening to the end of this track. Um, but um, it outside of it, it just exists for me,
Okay,
honestly.
that's a shame
Yeah.
because I do really like this artist for Doctor Who. He does
Hmm.
some of my favorite tracks that you'll see later on in other mixes. But yeah, no, this is
Let's hope I like his other stuff.
yeah. It could also be like you probably need the context of what was
That's
happening.
another thing.
Because like for
Like
me,
I
this
feel like.
song really comes from the context of what was happening.
Mm.
Next up is Your Father Would Be Proud from Rogue One. Like we said, this happens at the end of the film where, spoiler alert, our characters die. And this is like their final embrace where by the end, your father would be proud of what you have turned out to be.
Hmm.
It's also, I also listen to this a lot because it's followed by a song called Hope, which is Darth Vader's entrance and how he wraps
Mm.
things up, and it's this amazing orchestral, like while all these characters are dying. It's just it just goes well together.
You just like people to die, right?
Yeah, kind of.
No, like I said, like the atmosphere of the song is r- really cool, really haunting, and like listening to it, like I was kind of like, oh, I think I'm remembering the context. It is like it's beautiful. Like it sounds beautiful, and it does have that finale kind of ending
It does.
sound to it, but
It does.
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. Once again, it's Michael Gage, you know. So
Hmm.
next is the emulation scene from Revenge of the Sith. This is when Anakin, he's like beaten and he's being burnt by the lava, and Obi-Wan gives this speech of like, you were this and this, you were my brother, I loved you," and he walks away, and like the emotional weight of the prequel trilogy comes to this moment of emulation where Anakin dies and burns and becomes Darth Vader. You're just listening to the track, I assume.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't remember this.
Yeah. As he does that, I'm just gonna sit right here in front of my microphone and just burst.
You know what? I feel like that's a track I would really have to like. I remember the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully remember the track within the scene that much, but it is. I feel like it would be one of the songs that,
I
or
mean,
moments, period, that I would have to like really remember and be immersed in the context for me to fully appreciate. You know
it's
what I
also
mean?
because like your speakers didn't do justice to the music.
Like,
Because I mean, of course, because we had to keep it down for your neighbors and also,
oh my gosh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
Okay,
no,
so actually, since finishing up Stranger Things, I've been like trying significantly trying to like not be a nuisance, right? I have it down or whatever. And so I hadn't had an issue until a couple of nights ago, and I was so sad because they've been a little rackety up the past month, and we don't say crap, and I thought it was at a fine volume, and they banged again. And I'm another reason why I'm a little excited to move.
banged in that they banged against the floor to tell you to stop, not the other meaning.
Yeah.
Just had to make that distinction.
I knew that's where you were going, but it was still too funny.
Yeah, I was worried about you might have let that just
I
confuse
mean, it
people.
is an apartment, so that honestly, you never know what you will hear. Let's
Mm-hmm.
be honest.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, the next song is called "Blood on the Pavement." It's from the show Sherlock. A nice and beautiful moment. Uh, Again, like Doctor Who, a character has to make a sacrifice, and this is after the sacrifice, where it's like, oh no,
mhm.
they're dead. It's so sad.
I feel like there's an element where I could say something similar about the Doctor Who track, but I do like Blood on the Pavement more.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like in between of like Fort Knox and Immolation scene where I know it's weird because yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen Sherlock,
that makes
but
sense. That makes
like
sense.
I do like the track. It would be nice to know more of the context though, but
Yeah.
like I do. And again, like I said, like Owen's theme is like the only track that I actively don't like. So I'm fine with Fort Knox. I do like Blood on the Pavement. So speaking of Owen's theme,
Yeah, next song is Owen's themes from Torchwood. Like I had mentioned last episode, Owen's theme happens at a point where a character named Owen, at this point in the show, had died but was brought back to life spiritually, but his body is still dead. So he can't
was
feel
spiritually.
spiritually, but like he can't feel anything in his body. So at this point, he's just so depressed that he doesn't care what happens. So he's going on a rampage. His music plays. Um, it's emotional, quote unquote, in like an epic way. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I could see this being not working in this mix.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me, honestly. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a little repetitive.
It is very repetitive, but like I do
and
like
it
the tune.
it
Generally.
doesn't do anything for me musically.
I
I
agree.
feel like it's almost like when this is how I feel about it.
Uh,
Like I like rock/metal, right?
yeah.
So sometimes people are like, "Oh, is this song rock? I think you might like this." And I listen to it, I'm just like, "No, I don't." That's almost like the feeling I get from that song. Like I'm
Okay.
just like, I feel like it's trying too hard.
It probably is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry.
I mean, Torchwood isn't a quality show, really. So it makes sense. But this is like the only track from that show that I enjoyed, that I caught my attention at least.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the last three songs are from Michael Giacchino because Michael Giacchino is the emotional guy for some
Hmm.
reason. Anyway, we have Life and Death, the most well known song from the show Lost. Um, without saying anything, the title says it's all. It's life,
Hmm.
and then there's death. There you go. Here's
So,
the music for it.
solid track. I don't really know what to add to it. Like it's a good just song on its own. I feel like it's almost one of the songs you don't even need context for to
No,
appreciate
which
it
is
for what
why
it
they
is.
put the song in like any emotional, random, non-related thing you'd want.
I hate that thought so much.
Well, it happens. Sometimes it's a joke, and that's funny. But
Okay,
generally,
if it's a joke, it's funny, but if it's serious, I'm just like, shut up.
yeah. But the ending of this song leads into like this dramatic. Ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. It's not
Hmm.
emotional; it's serious, and that's where I lead it into "Letting Go," where this song starts with a bit of a serious vibe. It's hard to describe what's going on because this is like the last act, the last 5 minutes of the film, and like a family, this kid just lost his mother, and so he's coping with this group of friends, and they're trying to film and make this short film. But upon making the short film, they come across a giant monster from a secret government experiment, and they're just trying to prove something. And by the end of the film, with the song "Letting Go," he's letting go of his mom and moving on. So there you go.
I like the the varying instrumentation. I like the atmosphere of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's not very descriptive, but like I really do like it. Like I think it's the fact that you kind of get more that glimpse of like the various instruments and also it kind of like starting on a like a tense atmosphere or something. Like it's a solid track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, the film in general came out in 2011. I liked it when I saw it. I rewatched it like a few months back. It is definitely it's definitely just dated by 2011. It's just a very 2011 film by J.J. Abrams. So it's like it doesn't really hold up to what we have today, but
Mm-hmm.
uh I'd say it's still a decently solid film. And the last song on this track is called Paradise Found. It's from War for the Planet of the Apes. Again, this is the last track, the last part of the film, where
You know, sorry, go on.
the
My brain. Go
characters,
on.
our ape characters, are searching for a new home, and they finally find this new paradise that they're going to live, and they're celebrating. But it's also a somber moment where uh, a main character who's been prominent through the three films dies, who is like a Moses character. He's like, he's not entering the promised land. He's gonna die seeing it. It's happy, but it's somber.
Hmm. I feel like it's another. I feel like this is a little on par to Fort Knox, where it kind of just exists. You know, it's not a bad track, but also like I do like the ominous feel of it, but also doesn't necessarily hit as hard as the rest on the playlist does.
That's a shame.
Like at least it has going for it the ominous feel, but it also, again, context is always
Probably
nice.
context has it. This is probably one of the tracks that I like, but I also just dislike from Michael Giacchino because it just sounds so much like a lot of his other work. Like this song,
Mm.
this last song is all over the Batman. The same style, the same understanding. It's like all over that film, you get that feeling of the song. It's like, come on, man, come up with something new. It's all sounding exactly the same.
Well, that is
That is the
one
emotional
of my
mix.
favorite mixes. One of my
It,
favorite mixes. Probably my favorite. Sorry. Yeah, probably my favorite mix so far.
yeah, it was just a lot of just finding songs, placing it around. I
Hmm.
think I worked. This is probably the mix I worked on the most because I had a lot of time to work on it, of course.
Hmm.
Um, but just finding the right song for like maybe the up. Like the most obvious thing is like, oh, do the music from the beginning, but the music from the beginning is not that emotional to the end.
Hmm.
Or maybe just finding something from Star Wars. And of course, at this point, you haven't seen any of the films, so I'm just trying to find stuff that wouldn't be too revealing. Um, but yeah, that's the emotional mix. 13 songs, nice emotional stuff. Any final thoughts in this mix?
No.
Okay.
But John, I
Yes.
I I have something more than word this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you? Did you actually do it? Oh my gosh, you actually did it.
You know
Do you
what?
have a?
I'll actually be honest. I worked on it while you were talking about the mix.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So if you want to just open up real quickly, I just want to give a little bit of context. I'll give more context when we actually go through it.
Okay.
Um, specifically, so this playlist is or list is 13 tracks.
Mm.
Um, there's a few kind of like bonus tracks at the end ish, but
Okay.
they're all like unique in their own way to a degree. The last track is orchestral version of the first track.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I thought you would appreciate that.
I might. Yes.
Um, the second to last is from Big Bang. They are the only boy group on this playlist. They are
Cool.
essentially like the only K-pop boy band I do like.
Cool.
So thought I'd give the men a little bit of representation in this.
And not just the
Um,
girls.
yeah, because I essentially just listen to the girls. The for kicks and giggles, the third to last track is from Sistar, produced by
Produced by
I don't know how to say his name. I was hoping you would.
Giorgio Moroder.
Yes. So
One of
more or
the.
less because of the Daft Punk thing.
Yeah, but that punk is Giovanni Giorgio. But you would just call me Giorgio.
Isn't it the same guy?
This is Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, are they different?
Giovanni Giorgio is someone else.
Is it?
I mean, you can
I
look it
thought I
up.
checked and I thought it was the same guy.
If it's the same guy, then it's the same guy. Cool.
Oh my gosh.
But no, I saw Giorgio and was like, that's a name I know.
Um, um, and then the
Uh-huh.
fourth to last is a soloist. Her name is IU. That She is one of the more popular voices in South Korea, a very respected soloist. So, so the last 4 tracks are kind of the more like odd in terms of context, because all the rest are just the normal girl group kind of tracks, and each of them have specific context I'm not going to get into right now.
Yeah.
But the last 4 being a little odd, as we have a soloist, we have a German producer producing the track, we have a boy group, and an orchestral version. But I felt like this would be pretty decent run. I hope you enjoy it.
As
I'm
much
really
as I can enjoy.
well. Here's the thing: the visuals should be fun, right?
I guess.
But,
I guess if I'm thinking in terms of visuals, that's something.
Okay, here's the thing: with the 21 best songs of 21, what blew me away was the fact that you were complaining about some of the visuals. That wasn't, and some of those were like, I literally just needed the song, and it just happened to have an annoying visual I hadn't even watched. So I better hear you say something about the visuals for this, John.
It'll
That's all
probably be
I'm
very
saying.
repetitive. It's like they danced. There you go. But no, I'll try to give you some conversation about visuals.
John, we're probably gonna go track by track, just like you've been doing with me. You know what? What if we did that for boxing? What if we did like a? No, I'm kidding. I almost want to though, but
What are you doing?
I really want to, John.
What
I
are
really
you
want to.
doing? What are you trying to pull?
Everything.
You trying to make me mad?
Yeah.
I will not be crazy. I will not be pulled down into your whatever this evil thing you're trying to do to me is. So I sent you my next mixtape for you, called the Guilty Pleasure Mix. I'm excited for this. It's only 10 songs this time. Because I just had to make it tighter. But just looking through this, these are like songs that I enjoy. Like either the quality of it's not great, or it's in general I enjoy it, but I'm likely not gonna play it out loud for the world to hear. So, but just looking through it, most of these are just comedic songs.
Okay.
That aren't Weird Al, and so that should give you a little glimmer. It's like I like a lot of comedic songs. There's a couple songs that aren't comedic. Maybe they are, but they're trying to be serious. But yeah, generally all these topics are comedic in nature, and I wouldn't call this the peak of music, but I do enjoy listening to these songs.
That makes sense.
I did also just try to branch them into whatever. The first 3 songs are pony related, and then the rest is the rest. And just for you guys wondering what the songs are, the first one is "It'll Be Okay" from "Friendship Is Witchcraft." If you know, you know. Next is MCAD "Enunciation Emergency," which is probably gonna be the most cringiest song for you.
Okay.
If it's not the first one, it's the second one. There's some visuals to that, but I don't care. You're likely not gonna find the first 2 on Spotify, so that's why I put them at the top for you.
Okay.
Then it's Rainbow Factory. That's all I'm gonna say. Then it's Shia LaBeouf Live. So I was just telling you, it's like, oh, Shia LaBeouf. There's a song about Shia LaBeouf for you.
Okay.
Then there's this Miss.
Sorry, I didn't know that's how his name was divided.
That's how
I thought it was Shyla and then Buff.
No, it's Shia LaBeouf.
That's new information for me.
There you go.
I literally know nothing about that person.
Okay. Then the next
except
song
by
is
name.
the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. These next two songs are like from this Christian comedian guy. So that's that. And then this next one is Guitarzan. He's a bit of a country artist, so yeah, no, he's kind of weird, but I enjoy him. And it's Seagulls from Bad Lip Reading. That's a popular song of theirs that they did. I enjoy it, but you might not know anything. Then it's Count to Three from the Chalk Eaters. This is probably the newest song on this list. It came out just last year, but it really has to do with his video game company, so you will have no idea what they're talking about throughout this song.
Okay.
So enjoy that. Then it's Five Nights at Freddy's from the Living Tombstone. There's a very distinct distinction. It's from that artist. It was popular at the time. You've probably heard it if you know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, but I doubt it.
I barely know anything about the game. I know of its existence. I know it kind of has meme-ish presence currently. Yeah. Like a nostalgic meme presence.
It's always had a meme presence, really.
But, okay, yeah. Didn't know that.
And then the last song is The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Just the title and what's in the song just sounds like a finale song. So, yeah, that song is probably the oldest song here, and it's like early internet history that's well known.
Okay.
So there you go. These are 10 songs for you. Guilty pleasure.
Cool.
Most of them comedic. Hopefully you have an interesting time with them.
I hope so too. I hope they'll be good.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right. Any other thing we should want to talk about today?
No, I can't think of anything else. We have a really solid conversation today for
we
thinking we would not talk about anything.
Yeah. I did send you your own video about Marvel fan gets quizzed.
Oh yeah. Do you want to quiz me on that? Like, no. Ask me the questions from that video, or
no? I don't remember anything about that video. But
I remember I remember two questions. Was Thanos a farmer, and guess what SHIELD stands for?
Okay.
Those are the two questions I remember.
I know. I was just wondering if you ever looked back on that, because now you're a Marvel.
I hadn't. So. Yeah, I haven't. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing against the video. It just, I don't necessarily always go back to my content like that. There hasn't been anything in me that's like, oh, I really want to rewatch that. So it probably will happen eventually. Be like, oh, I am curious, but nothing right now has sparked that interest. Be like,
all right,
really curious.
And so with that, we had a good conversation today. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.